Matthew 22, Parable of the Marriage Feast. Jesus spoke to them again in parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who gave a wedding feast for his son. And he sent his servants to call those who had previously been invited to the wedding feast, but they refused to come. Then he sent out some other servants, saying, 'Tell those who have been invited, look, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and fattened calves are butchered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding feast.' But they paid no attention. They disregarded the invitation, treating it with contempt, and went away, one to his farm, another to his business. The rest of the invited guests seized his servants and mistreated them, insulting and humiliating them, and killed them. The king was enraged when he heard this, and sent his soldiers and destroyed those murderers and burned their city. Then he said to his servants, 'The wedding feast is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy. So go to the main highways that lead out of the city, and invite to the wedding feast as many as you find.' Those servants went out into the streets and gathered together all the people they could find, both bad and good. So the wedding hall was filled with dinner guests sitting at the banquet table. But when the king came in to see the dinner guests, he saw a man there who was not dressed appropriately in wedding clothes, and he said, 'Friend, how did you come in here without wearing the wedding clothes that were provided for you?' And the man was speechless and without excuse. Then the king said to the attendants, 'Tie him hand and foot and throw him into the darkness outside. In that place there will be weeping over sorrow and pain, and grinding of teeth over distress and anger. For many are called, but few are chosen.'" Tribute to Caesar. Then the Pharisees went and conspired together, plotting how to trap him by distorting what he said. They sent their disciples to him, along with the Herodians, saying, "Teacher, we know that you are sincere and that you teach the way of God truthfully, without concerning yourself about what anyone thinks or says of your teachings. For you are impartial and do not seek anyone's favor, and you treat all people alike, regardless of status. Tell us then, what do you think? Is it permissible according to Jewish law and tradition to pay a poll tax to Caesar or not?" But Jesus, aware of their malice, asked, "Why are you testing me, you hypocrites? Show me the coin used for the poll tax." And they brought him a denarius, a day's wage. And Jesus said to them, "Whose likeness and inscription is this?" They said, "The Emperor Tiberius Caesar's." Then he said to them, "Then pay to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." When they heard this, they were caught off guard, and they left him and went away. Jesus answers the Sadducees. On that day, some Sadducees, who say that there is no resurrection of the dead, came to him and asked him a question, saying, "Teacher, Moses said, if a man dies leaving no children, his brother as next of kin shall marry his widow and raise children for his brother. Now, there were 7 brothers among us. The first married and died, and having no children left his wife to his brother. The second also died childless, and the third, down to the 7th. Last of all, the woman died. So, in the resurrection, whose wife of the 7 will she be? For they all had married her." But Jesus replied to them, "You are all wrong, because you know neither the scriptures which teach the resurrection, nor the power of God, for he is able to raise the dead. For in the resurrection neither do men marry, nor are women given in marriage, but they are like angels in heaven who do not marry nor produce children. But as to the resurrection of the dead, have you not read in the scripture what God said to you? 'I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob.' He is not the God of the dead, but of the living." When the crowds heard this, they were astonished at his teaching. Now when the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together. One of them, a lawyer, an expert in Mosaic law, asked Jesus a question to test him. "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" And Jesus replied to him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself, that is, unselfishly seek the best or higher good for others. The whole law and the writings of the prophets depend on these two commandments. Now, while the Pharisees were still gathered together, Jesus asked them a question. What do you Pharisees think of the Christ? Whose son is he? They said to him, the son of David. Jesus asked them, how is it then that David, by the inspiration of the Spirit, calls him Lord, saying, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet? So then, if David calls him Lord, how is he David's son? No one was able to say a word to him in answer, nor from that day on did anyone dare to question him again.